Ask Jeff anything. Who's ready for a Q&A? Yeah! And because you guys asked enough questions, we're actually going to break it into 2 parts. How exciting is that? So part 1 is now. Part 2 will come up a little bit afterwards and a few hours later. So if your question didn't get asked in part 1, maybe it got asked in part 2. I couldn't get to all the questions. Try to get to as many as I can. Make sure if you want to participate in future Q&A videos that you go to Twitter and follow me there, and just smash that subscribe button as well. It would help the channel a lot. Let's go ahead and get started. Geo knows. Geo, what in the flat earth you want to know this time? If you could make a lot of money, say several $1,000,000 a year, as a professional curler, would you do it? I would do it probably for $100,000 a year. So you're going to pay me a few $1,000,000 a year to do curling? Who the fuck wouldn't? Like, you'd have to be out of your mother Canuckin mind, Geo, if you wouldn't want to do it. You know deep down you would. Oh, you know. You know. I could just see it now. Geo representing the Canadian curling team with his I Stand Biden shirt. Curling for Kamala. Oh, Geo's going to be mad. Blaze in 1978. I understand you were a good track and field athlete, but you hardly talk about it on your channel. Not much to talk about, or you lost interest completely. I don't know if there's a ton to talk about. I never lose interest in track and field. No. But I just don't anticipate there would be a lot of interest from my current subscriber base for me to talk about track and field related things. Just the reality of it. Vin Los Penuso 91. All right, Vinny, what you got this time? How much do you know about pro football before the NFL founding? Also, how is my banter with the voters compared to Mo's? Second question, who gives a fuck? I don't know, I don't care, I don't worry about it, Vinny. Honestly. The first part, some. It's not really my jam, though, admittedly. Like, I'll mention Pudge just to make you happy. Smokin' J Prods asks, what are some realistic expectations for the Bears this season? Realistic expectations. I think if things went well and they start the better quarterback all season, which is Justin Fields, then potentially a 9-8 season, 7 seed, mediocre crap, but with more focus on the future, more reason for optimism for the future. Like, that could be possible. It's just a lot of questions right now. There are. I know Bears fans are really hyped up because of Fields and etc. But there are questions. You have questions about the head coach. And if you don't, as a Bears fan, I don't know what the hell's wrong with you. You have questions about their play calling. You should have questions absolutely about Desai and what he's going to do with that defense. And if you don't, I wonder again, what are you thinking about? It doesn't mean that we won't get some positive answers to those questions this year. But there are certainly questions. And you look defensively, now you're another year removed, another year in, like, does the defense take an even bigger step back? Who's going to be corner 2? Like, where's the edge rush pressure going to come from outside of Khalil Mack? Like, there are certainly questions there. So if they start Dalton a good portion of the year and they finish 9-8, it was a really stupid season and a waste of everybody's time. If they go 8-9, 9-8, with Justin Fields as the starter for the majority, if not all of the season, then you got to feel kind of good about it, especially if you see any growth or development from Fields throughout the season. Braden Smith 14, is the stuff going on with Richard Sherman because of CTE? It could have just been because he was fucking drunk and an idiot. Like, is that what's going to happen every time somebody does something stupid and they happen to be a pro football player that we're automatically going to jump to CTE? Not every football player gets CTE. And There are just some people that have violent streaks, or some people that can't handle their fucking alcohol. Who knows? I'm not going to speculate on something like CTE related. I mean, you can just as easily point to something else that the correlation is there. Is he got fucking drunk and he couldn't handle his liquor, or he got so drunk it didn't matter whether he could handle his liquor and he acted like an idiot. Bear down are you? Chad wants to know, what does mostly false mean? What that means is a fact-checking site when asking the questions about whether or not Democrats are blood-sucking vampires is going to respond mostly false, leaving open that small window of Democrats that are blood-sucking vampires. That was fantastic. It could be 1 out of 1,000 is. Well, that is some Democrats then. That's what mostly false means. Cuda, Chris. Cuda! I'm sure this will be a really stupid question. It is a Cuda specialty. Oh, what do you know? Jeffrey! Jeffrey? You have until Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern to acknowledge Cade Cunningham as your tribal chief of the Eastern Conference. Are you going to formally bend the knee to the new head of the table, or are you going to remain stuck in the 90s, tweeting Jordan nostalgia? The Jordan nostalgia piece should be an entirely different conversation than your tribal chief of the Eastern Conference. Really? Like, you literally just had Giannis go on a fucking massive tear in the finals, win finals MVP, win a championship. He's 26 years old in the peak of his career. But your dumbass thinks that Cade Cunningham, because he's getting drafted by your lousy-ass, shitty Pistons #1, is the tribal chief of the Eastern Conference? Now, you ask some dumb questions, Cuda! But goddamn, this one takes the cake. And as far as Jordan nostalgia, it's not always Jordan nostalgia. It is providing proper context and speaking truth to other people's stupidity and idiocracy. That's what that is. I'm sorry, you can't understand that. Cuda. DeMarcus Flowers. Where does Giannis rank now in terms of greatest international players of all time? Hakeem is #1, but has he surpassed Dirk already? No, he has not surpassed Dirk already. Could he in time? Yes. But Giannis is all of 26. Like, it was the whole thing when I saw some tweets talking about that Giannis was the second or third greatest power forward of all time. I'm like, he's 26. That means he's supplanting guys like Karl Malone and Dirk Nowitzki and Charles Barkley. And are we really going to do this shit already? We got to let more of his career play out, because the truth of the matter is, you only really have like 5 prime seasons of Giannis to look at. His first couple of years, he was developing as a player. He was growing as a player. He was becoming the Giannis, the Greek freak that we knew he was going to become, or know him as now. But the 5 seasons doesn't take away the 2 decades of what Nowitzki did, or the 2 decades of what Karl Malone did, or the decade and a half of what Charles Barkley did. We need to see more of Giannis's career before we allow the recency bias and a bunch of Gen Z fucksticks that don't know their history from a hole in the damn ground to sit there and tell us that he's already the second greatest, or he's this, or he's that. Like, Hakeem, yes. #1, no beef there. You know, it's a shame, you know, the U.S. fans didn't get to see more of Arvydas Sabonis in his peak, because, you know, there might be some different questions there, but he has not surpassed Dirk. Lucas on tap. Will Matt Nagy have a majority of his routes go past 6 sticks on 3rd down with Fields? Thanks, I'll hang up and listen. If anything, because it's a rookie, he'd be more inclined, I think, to have more of the routes go short of the sticks on 3rd down. God, John Shoop could beat off to that. Couldn't he? John Shoop's like, yeah, I could give my defense field position to that 3rd and 9 call. Oh, man. We'll see. Not very confident. Joseph Moran. I'm just starting my music career, and a lot of people like my lyrics. If you can give me some advice on what to do and what not to do in the industry, that would be great. Thank you. Why would you come to me asking for advice about the music industry? Like, You could look at different people to give you advice and mentorship for different things. I certainly am not, Joseph, one of those people that will do that in terms of music. What the hell would I know? Like, seek out those that know. Build your network. Build your brand. Like, go out there and go make it happen. Get after it. And it's just some general advice, but in terms of, like, the specifics of music, I have no fucking clue. And nor would I want to tell you anything specifically like I know. Like, I know we are in a culture and environment where everybody feels like they have to know everything because the pressure is there, but sometimes it's okay to say, you know what, I don't fucking know. And in this case, I don't know. In general, I would say, if that's what you truly want to do, then dive all in. Go balls deep on it. Leave nothing to chance. Eagle Fang 86. I don't know if you follow hockey or not, but Logan Malo, I think I pronounced that right, was drafted last night. How do you feel about the entire thing, and should he have a second chance after the crime he committed? You know, you've got me curious now. I really, honestly, have not paid attention, so let me look it up. What was this criminal charge? So he's 18 years old. He was fined in 2021 for sharing a non-consensual intimate image of a young woman he took while the two were engaging in a sexual act. He pulled out of the draft, saying he didn't want to be drafted, and the Montreal Canadiens said, fuck it, we're taking him anyways. Oh, God. Like, crime seems a bit harsh. Like, honestly, what percentage of the porn that all of us watch is some type of, like, recording that's shared with maybe only the consent of one of the parties? Now, there's a distribution thing here, like, you know, it's not good. Like, I want to be clear, it's not good, but it's not like he raped the girl, from what I'm reading. And forgive me, I don't know much of the particulars. I just took a quick look at the Wikipedia page, honestly. So if I'm missing key context, please forgive me. Initial reaction to your question where you say, how do I feel about the entire thing? Should he have a second chance? Yes. Fucking 18. Like, give me a break. Let's get a little levity on it. I mean, if he was forcing the girl to do that act without her permission, then no. A fucking picture of it, like, okay. Like, yeah, that was stupid. Yeah, that's not good. But should his entire life be ruined for that? No. And if you say, well, her entire life will be ruined, will it? In our culture, if anything, it should be the launching of a new career for her. Just saying. Master Havoc, what are some of your favorite Olympic events? Like, obviously, I lean towards track and field. I also love swimming. Those are probably the two. Although I will say, like, this go round in the Olympics, I've been able to watch more handball. I fucking love handball. It's fantastic. The 3-on-3 basketball has been pretty good. But when it comes to favorite Olympic events, track and field for sure. And for me, you know, I always really enjoyed the 400. You know, and I grew up with Michael Johnson, so obviously there's a good reason for that. You know, Quincy Watts, Steve Lewis, blah, blah, blah. You know, so I've seen some great 400-meter runners during my lifetime from America. That's probably, in terms of the track events, that's probably my favorite pure track event. Sash Daddy 2, if we end up tagging and trading Allen Robinson next year, which I hope doesn't happen, but if we would get a first-round pick out of it, what do you think about the Bears trading up in the next year's draft for Chris Olave with the first-round pick? Now, why sit there and trade a first-round pick to go move up to get Justin Fields to then a year later take the number one wide receiver, Allen Robinson, and trade him away from a first-round pick? Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. So, no, I wouldn't be a fan of that. It sounds dumb, personally. And Cyple 99, is Matt Forte the second or third greatest running back in Bears history? Where would you rank him? I think he's top 5. I'm not putting him ahead of Peyton or Sayers. You know, but is he in that Neil Anderson, like, next level category? Yes. But then you also got to factor in, how do you rate Red Grange and Bronco Nagurski. Other guys over the years like Caceres and so forth. Like, hey, I would make a strong argument for him for top 5 for sure. Like, then you got George McAfee. But some of those guys also played 2 ways. Back in the 20s and 30s and 40s. Yeah, he's probably top 5. Probably top 5. No, he is top 5. He's top 5. I just don't know where he would fall out in the top 5, whether it be 3, 4, or 5. All right, so thank you everybody that asked your questions for this Q&A. Like I said, part 2 will come up a little bit later, so make sure you check that out in case your question didn't get answered here. Or if you just enjoyed this Q&A, this was a little more fun. I liked it. Let's do this more often. I'll be back quickly with part 2 of the weekly Q&A. All right.